Tonight on The Night Team. Louisville's cries for justice continue after an Illinois woman was shot and killed by police in her home. Louisville advocates are gathering, pleading for peace.
I came out here for one thing, and that was change, and that was justice.
Plus, Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear speaking to Atlanta Democrats today as he's being vetted as a potential Democratic vice presidential candidate. Could this be another audition for the job?
We win by caring and fighting for every single vote in every single county. Every single one of you matters. Are you willing to do the work to turn out that vote?
This speech comes just hours after the Kentucky governor gave the keynote speech in the highly influential state of Iowa. His message to voters. The WHAS11 Night Team starts right now. Louisville community members gathered today for a vigil and a march in solidarity for Sonia Massie, the Illinois mother who was shot and killed in her Springfield home by police on July 6th. It's our top story here on The Night Team. I'm Alex Dieterer. WHAS 11 Night Team's Alexandra Goldberg and photojournalist Aspen Hester spoke with activists in downtown Louisville today and have their call to action. We do have a warning for viewers at home. The police body camera footage can be disturbing to some viewers.
We're standing hurting, we're standing in pain, we're standing tired.
A somber room, about 50 activists gathered in downtown Louisville in mourning.
And it happened again. It's heart-wrenching. It's actually tragic. It has to stop.
Can I hear you say trust Black women?
Sunday, cities across the nation organized in solidarity for Sonia Massie, the 36-year-old mother who was shot and killed by Illinois police earlier this month. Authorities say that night, the officers were at her home after Massie had called 911 to report a prowler.
Until people look at why the lives of Black women are undervalued in America, we will continue to be here again and again and again.
After the vigil and prayers,
In Jesus' name that I pray. Amen.
community members took to Jefferson Square Park for a march.
I came out here for one thing, and that was change, and that was justice.
Jefferson Square Park is the historic block where protests were held for Breonna Taylor in 2020.
But this is where we've been even 20 years before, when Adrian Reynolds and other folks were being murdered senselessly, whether in jail or by the police.
It's sad what happened to Sonia. It's sad, and it shouldn't have happened. And we tired of being out here. We tired of saying that.
Body-worn camera footage released last week shows the moment police shot Massie in her home near Springfield. A warning, this footage is graphic. Activists had a call to action.
Vote. Vote. And then we'll really see that it'll really make change. Don't think that your vote doesn't matter. All votes matter. That's why they say vote.
In downtown Louisville, Alexandra Goldberg, WHAS 11 Night Team on your side. The sheriff deputy who shot Massie was charged with first-degree murder last week and was also fired from the sheriff's department. Representative Morgan McGarvey of Louisville released this statement on Thursday, saying in part, quote, Black Americans are disproportionately profiled, targeted, and killed by police. And Sonia Massie's death is another heartbreaking reminder that we need real justice and reform, end quote. In Indiana, a juvenile has been charged with attempted murder after a dispute between two groups of juveniles escalated to a shooting at a southern Indiana lake. The Perry County Sheriff's Office says deputies responded to Rainbow Lake in Derby, Indiana, around 8 last night to reports of shots fired. During their investigation, officers found 2 victims with gunshot wounds, and one of those victims did have to be airlifted to U of L Hospital. Indiana State Police and the Sheriff's Office say they found 2 vehicles involved in the shooting trying to leave the area. A juvenile was arrested and charged with attempted murder, among other charges. Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear continued stumping for Vice President Kamala Harris in Atlanta today. He was joined by a Kentuckian who helped him get elected, Hadley Duvall.
I've traveled my state with Governor Beshear, across my country with Team Harris, and right here in Georgia, fighting for women and girls to get our reproductive rights back.
Duvall was featured in a campaign ad for Beshear criticizing Kentucky's strict abortion ban. She previously campaigned for Biden in Pennsylvania when he was still the presumptive nominee. Now she's joining Beshear to campaign for Harris in the battleground state of Georgia. Beshear again today going full campaign mode in his speech.
So let me ask you, are you ready to do the work? Are you ready to knock the doors? Are you ready to make the phone calls? Are you ready to vote? Are you ready to beat Donald Trump? Are you ready to beat J.D. Vance? Are you ready to elect Kamala Harris, President of the United States of America? God bless. Thank you all. Let's win this race.
Now, the governor is still being vetted as a candidate for vice president by Harris's team, and this whole weekend has felt like a big audition for the job. Hours before headlining this campaign event in Atlanta today, Beshear was in Des Moines, Iowa. A keynote speaker for the Iowa Democrats yesterday, he took jabs at former President Donald Trump and his running mate, Senator J.D. Vance. WHAS11 senior reporter Isaiah Kim Martinez and senior photojournalist Alyssa Newton are reporting in Iowa, where voters say they saw a vice presidential candidate last night.
Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear.
Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear in campaign form in Iowa, touting the very win that put him on the national radar.
If you don't know me, I'm the guy who beat Mitch McConnell's hand-picked candidate last November in Kentucky.
How would he connect with folks outside the bluegrass state?
I'm the guy that beat Donald Trump's hand-picked candidate.
Do you believe he stacks up after hearing this?
I told my friends, I actually have a group chat with some friends of mine, and we've been talking about it, and I'd earlier penciled him as like the person that I would like to see, but I didn't think was going to happen. And I told them tonight, I was like, he's moved up on my power list. He's at the top of my power ranking.
He gave substance in our private conversation today, which touched my heart, and you take that and you take it to the voters because that's what they want. They're tired of all the craziness. They want something with substance.
And he was giving us a message that we've tried giving to our children, but he was putting it with more power behind it to stimulate your young people, the generation that was here.
Iowans saw a man campaigning on behalf of Vice President Kamala Harris, who's vetting potential candidates to be her running mate, including Beshear.
I like him. I think it would make a good VP pick, to be very honest.
Over some of the others?
Over some of the others, yeah.
Beshear, described by the New York Times as an amiable attack dog from Kentucky, did show Iowans the tone of voice Kentuckians are used to. 94-year-old lifelong Iowan, Mary Campos Dominguez, getting some one-on-one time with him.
That he was being very honest and sincere, that he was being very forward with what he was thinking, and he was not pretentious. He was not pretending to be somebody that he wasn't. He was just a normal human being.
In his address, Beshear talked about his kids and the conversation he had with the vice president soon after President Biden bowed out of the race.
I was sitting at my son's baseball game. It's just me and a couple hundred parents when that news broke that day. And the first thing she asked, listen, she was just thrust into likely being our candidate for president. And the first thing she asked is how my kids were doing.
Governor, you said that the vice president knows Will and Lila by name. I mean, how do you describe your guys' relationship?
Well, it's special. She's taken the time since the moment that she met them to talk to them, to ask about them. When she calls me to see if they can get on the phone, that's really, the fastest way to a person's heart is caring about their kids.
To me, he has the qualifications to be a vice president. If Kamala was elected and something happened to her and he had to step up, I would feel comfortable that he could step up and do the job.
Isaiah Kim Martinez, WHAS 11 Night Team on your side.
Now, it's important to keep in mind that we've heard Beshear's messaging become more national by the day. But will that continue in the days to come? WHAS 11 will have analysis from experts on both sides of the aisle. That'll be tomorrow at 6 p.m. Now, Beshear is among several Democrats being vetted for the Harris ticket. That includes Arizona Senator Mark Kelly, North Carolina Governor Roy Cooper, and Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro. The pressure is on for Harris to make a VP selection. The Democratic National Convention plans to hold a virtual nomination vote by August 1st. And regardless of who Harris picks as her running mate, former President Donald Trump's running mate says he's ready. Ohio Senator J.D. Vance has been campaigning in Minnesota, a Democratic stronghold. Vance was nonchalant when asked about picks for the Democratic vice president. He says he's confident the Trump-Vance ticket will resonate with voters more, as he says their campaign will bring jobs home.
Whoever she picks as a running mate, I think we have the edge because President Trump's governing agenda actually worked for the American people. I think what people in the Rust Belt care about maybe more than anything else is bringing back good American manufacturing jobs.
Manufacturing jobs have been on the rise in the U.S. since 2016, only falling at the beginning of 2020 when people across the globe were out of work due to the pandemic. That's according to U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. Under the Biden administration, manufacturing has returned to pre-pandemic levels and has now even surpassed them. However, over the last year, those jobs have remained relatively stable, not rising or lowering. Meanwhile, during a rally last night, Trump continued to attack Harris, labeling her as the extreme candidate.
So now we have a new candidate to defeat the most incompetent, unpopular, and far-left vice president in American history.
Trump's campaign is hoping to flip Minnesota from the Democratic stronghold it has been for the last half-century. In yesterday's rally, both Trump and Vance attacked the vice president, attempting to link her to the southern border.
Kamala Harris's deadly destruction of America's borders is completely and totally disqualifying for her to be president. You can't have a person like this as president.
The latest polling shows it's still a tight race between Trump and Harris. Harris has received a recent boost in favorability, according to an ABC News Ipsos poll, while Trump has seen his fallback since his assassination attempt. We have been following this presidential race closely all week, keeping you up to date with the latest information from across the nation. You can continue to follow our coverage by heading to our website, WHAS11.com. We also have Isaiah Kim Martinez's full exclusive interview with Andy Beshear in Iowa on our YouTube page, as well as reaction and analysis of Beshear's speech to more than 450 Iowa Democrats.